Good morning. How is this going? Okay, we're here. Yes. Hello, life. Hello, Tinguish. How you guys doing? Hi, Madeline. How you doing? By the way, um, let me see if I can pull up. I'll, I'll pull up your thing, Madeline. There we go. Okay. So, September 5th through 7th, Madeline has organized this world building festival for us with a bunch of world building and conlanging YouTubers. Langtime Studio will be there. Let's Have a Boobo. Boobo will be there. Oh, that's great. That's great, Madeline. And Bibliterati and Artifactian, uh, all those people. And I am going to do a stream at my regular time on the 6th with world building pasta. And they want me to help them with a naming language. It's a little bit different from what I usually do in that it is a posteriori. Um, I don't know how much I want to share beforehand. I need to communicate with them about that. But it's like a future sci-fi world, so I need a descendant of a modern language. And well, I'm gonna put this out there because I really could use the help. If anyone has made a descendant of Spanish using Lexergy, I would really like to look at your file because it's going to be a pain in the ass to try to do the deromanizer by myself. Because, like, Spanish orthography is pretty transparent, but there still are quite a few many to one mappings that would need to be done and have to, like, make sure that works. But anyway, that's coming up in September. For now, we are back on Sylvan. Yeah. I think the biggest thing, Madeline, with trying to like automatically transfer Spanish to IPA is there's some digraphs that are a little bit particular here. Like you got you know, everyone knows key. This is key, right? And K shouldn't be too difficult. And yes, I know a lot of people just transcribe it as an epsilon. I'm not worrying about that. And G and G. However, you also have that equals gue. So I need to. It's just going to be tedious to get all the rules right because I need to make sure that like GUE is ge and GU diaresis E is gue. Also, just the fact that I have, you know, this is ye is ye and this is we without like also having like issues of turning all the U's into W's, which I don't want to happen, right? Yeah, it's just gonna be a little time consuming, and like the many to ones, like the V equals how do you write it? That, and B also equals that, but not in all contexts too. So yeah, but I can get it. It's a part that I want to get done before stream time so that I'm ready to just write rules. It shouldn't be too difficult, but here we go. We are on Fairy. We are in Fairy again. I'm just looking at... So, we are probably going to finish today, even if I'm not totally done with all of the constructions today. We can probably start next time on doing the koineization, at least the initial world building piece of it, next week. But I want to cover as much of this as I can. So we've got our basic word order. Basically, dawn and dusk are VSO by default now. Good morning. How are you doing, baby girl? Do you want to say hi to the people? No, that's okay. And then day and night will sometimes insert a subject between the auxiliary and the matrix verb. So the idea is like they will have like a second position subject, but dawn and dusk will be fully on. It's like auxiliary verb and then the subject, right? Subject can always be fronted for focus, though. All dialects allow that. The auxiliaries, day, dawn, and dusk have come up with this dummy auxiliary, and that means that they no longer have any case. They have their sentences require an auxiliary, and all of the tense and aspect information is carried by the auxiliaries. And sometime off screen, I think I will work out the paradigms for all of the auxiliaries in these languages so that we have that limited scope all sorted out for that. Yes. Yes, she's wandering around here. That's Dorothy, the youngest. She is almost 4. Okay. And so, like, yeah. So, possession has basically not changed, except, okay, now people use the accusative, and the accusative might be slightly different between dialects, but we instead of oblique, the possessors in the accusative, which in many cases comes from the oblique. And then inanimate possessors are introduced with a preposition. Day and dawn use descendants of pak, and dusk and night use descendants of ti. Okay, so that's fine. I can flesh this out with examples later, or I mean, I don't know if this part is going to be like in my final documentation as much because we're focused mostly on the Koine. I have considered whether I want all of these. Dorothy, did you get your Peppa Pig? I'm reading. Yeah. I'm reading The Wizard of Oz to the middle one, Fifi, and Dorothy will be in there, and every time the name Dorothy comes up, she says, "Why did it say Dorothy?" So let's take a look at what else. Um, did we actually handle? Okay, let's actually handle the negation thing. And which heading level is this? No, that's not at heading 3. So let's go back to negation. So there's a post-verbal particle ba. So initially I was thinking that I think what will happen here. Okay, so here's the thing. Like, this could weaken and become, since our like equivalent to do support. So um I've mentioned before, like this thing of like getting a dummy auxiliary and making auxiliaries required at all times is meant to be like a callback to an English feature called do support, where if we have a negative sentence, we don't we no longer really say he he um he sees not. We say he does not see, right? Um, However, in English, do support happens in questions and uh, in negative sentences. Here it happens all the time. So the thing that happens in English where we can say he doesn't see and we can criticize this not to the does and not and the weakening doesn't matter so much because the do support does that. That's not going to happen for these dialects. That's not going to be as useful because if you weaken that negation too much, then it's just like it's not going to be heard, right? So I think actually something curious we could do is um, where auxiliaries are obligatory, the negative is enhanced with a long vowel. So we would have something like, okay, so this, which language is, which one is this from? So this is, so instead, ooh, and to verb. Right. And let's see. So where did this come from? Let's go back to our auxiliaries. Grab the original root of this. Oh, where did it go? I think it's in verbs here. The did I hope that I oh lovely. Let me look at my poll so that I can be sure. So it would have to be. It would have to be. This is why you document every word as you go, kids. Yeah, that should be it. Okay. So And that becomes an auxiliary in these dialects. I I will need to and so let's okay. If I do this and then I go um, and let's see, this is let's go down to negation, and I want to know, this is a dawn example. So let's go with a dawn example. And then we want to and then if we do this, I'm curious if I'm going to okay. So I'm gonna have to come up with some kind of a stress shift rule to make this happen. Um, yeah. So let's see. So I took out the heavy stuff, but if we go at some point before, when do we lose the lengthening? Okay, so this is where long vowels. So I think what I actually want to do, let's go, um, let's go ahead and yeah, so this is how we do this. And then what we have is, we take our stress assignment. Yeah. Let's just reassign the stress. And then if we do this, yeah, and then heavy deletion, and then I need to have this without all of the heavies. This is what you get with tongues and runes, is all of the faffing around. Shriikba. Shriikba. So what happens is, it's a little bit of a strange situation for this to happen, right? This is not super common, but in this case, what happens is like that becomes phonologically dependent on the previous one, and you see this constant actually is like reasserting itself. That's a clue, but the main thing is that the negative particle attracts the stress. So instead of shiipa or shiikpa, you get shiikpa. Okay. Yeah. So let's describe this a little bit. Dialects, the auxiliary is mandatory. The negative ba developed long vowel and attached itself to the auxiliary. This resulted in a negative suffix. It's basically a suffix now that attracts stress. Yeah, Tinguish. That's basically what I had to do, is just like reassign stress, which is fine. You just have to do that. I know that I need to do that for all for uh, duplicate tab, for day and for dusk as well. So let's go ahead and apply that. So what we need, to start with this version of the syllables, right? At least now that I know how syllabification and the heavy tagging work, I can just deal with that. When I was like faffing around trying to get that to work, that was a real pain. So, and then we're going to clear all stress and do all of this work before we delete. And I think that let's just apply it the way it is now. Okay, I do lose. I have long shift here. And apply. Okay, je suis pas. Why is there a grave accent coming up here? Oh, suis pas. Right, that's right. Oh, that's interesting. Suis pas. Do I want it to be that way, or do I want to put this? Okay. Okay. This has created something. Okay. So if I do it here, what I have is normally the stressed syllable gets a low tone, right? Let's see what happens here. Right. Get that. And then let's let's actually yeah, I do. And then where is oh, okay. Let's actually okay. Yeah, this is the same thing. Now here, yeah. Okay, so what happens is shiikba, shiikba, shiikba. So tonogenesis is the ordering here is going to be important for tonogenesis. So what we want to ask ourselves is, so right now this is what I've got. So here, okay, where does tonogenesis happen here? So here, okay, here we have an example between dialects. So in dawn, tonogenesis happens after the stress shift, which means that the ba it gets the low, right? Right here in day and dusk, I have changed that. I have put them after tonogenesis, which means that we get an unstressed high and an unstressed low before the ba. Now, the question I will ask you guys is, do we like this for these, or do we like this one? And like we can split between dialects, but let's say let's do this as a simple up and down poll, and then I will work out details if we need to. All dialects shift stress. What will all of day, dawn, dusk dialects shift stress to to ba, the ba suffix before tonogenesis. Okay. So, yeah, we'll just make it up or down. Okay. Today, and we'll go with 850. Create the poll and share it. Okay. So we don't need to be dwelling on that while we're doing this. I will hold off on exporting until we have made that decision. But we can also keep moving and talk about other issues. So let's see. We've done auxiliaries. Basically, the verbal construction would be the same. Passives and antipassives. So, I mean, we are definitely ripe for creating new passive and antipassive constructions with the amount of with all of our auxiliaries. I don't necessarily want to copy the English passive construction where we've taken an auxiliary, the be auxiliary with a past participle and that. In fact, I don't think that will work. At present, I have not created any participles for these languages. In a way, so let's just review what happens. So So a passive will take the subject slot out of the picture, right? And an antipassive will take the object out of the picture. Both of them are marked the same way currently by using the reflexive marker on the verb, and then optionally reintroducing the subject with an inflected preposition. So if ik bij is English doesn't have an antipassive, so the this is hard to, but it's like the fairy calls. What did they call? We don't know. And then but did by is the deer was called. The key thing here is without seeing the choice of preposition here, this is ambiguous. You could say that the fairy was called. So, some thoughts would be maybe the dialects have come up with a way to differentiate. Maybe they all have the same strategy. Maybe they have different strategies. What actually would be the situation here? So the question is, yeah. So if we think about passivization, let's actually go and take a look at our auxiliaries and see if they can help us. This has become like a particle. I think I have something. Okay. Let's take these. So here's what I'm thinking. And this is totally out of my head. I'm not like I'm just thinking out loud here. So now, what if we had something? Now, something that we're carrying over is that yes, the tense aspect mood is only marked on the auxiliary, but person is marked on both. And we can use that to our advantage to help differentiate the antipassive and the passive. So here is my proposal. Let's use a dawn example. And let's grab this dawn example. Passive. Now, I realize actually that this should be like this, right? Now, what if, now let's go and see, let's go back to our verbs, and let's look at what the reflexive is from A. Right. So if we copy this, oh no, not here. I want to put this. A. Let's go ahead and put this through the dawn sound changes. E. Really? Well, that's unexpected. What happens if I do the same thing in dusk? She est. Well, let's make a dusk example then. So if we go down here, so what we want is this actually should be Sha, and let's So let's do all of the things. Yeah. Oh. I don't know why I'm getting so many. Um, uh, oh, sources on how to make a phonology? Oh, well, I mean, the early parts of Conlang Year probably have stuff on that. Any of the, like, language construction kit probably has, like, basics of phonology in there. Uh, I probably want to make something of my own eventually. And then I want to, um, I want to actually have this actually here, and you'll see why that's important in a minute. And we want to go the article. Um, well, let's actually we'll just get that in there for now. Just go apply and then export. And then we want to go to here. And I actually want to put this here. Apply. Whoop. Oh, error. Okay. Okay, well, since this is not actually going to trigger anything, I can just go without doing that. Hey, my heavy, what? My heavy goes away, so it's not a big deal. Why are you being annoying? Okay. Why do you keep the, okay. We can put this here. And this actually, doesn't need to be that way. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So something is happening with this. Okay, my gliding rule. It's not, okay. I can fix that actually. We'll just make sure that we can have vowel vowel. Really? Okay. I don't know what to do with you if you don't allow that. Or is that something I have to have in the first one? It's still a problem. Why are you trying to put this in a new syllable? Or, oh, I know. Okay, so vowel. Perfect. Okay. Patud. And now I want to figure out why my... Yeah, so this is supposed to apply across word boundaries. So why is it not? So trace changes. Um, we have this happen a second time. Okay, somehow the heavy tag was blocking that. Um, That's really annoying. But now I know. Okay. Okay. Let's get my words ready. I just wanted to make sure my initial mutations were working, and they just were not. Okay, see you, Madeline. Have fun. I don't have timestamps up, so I don't even know. Okay. So here is my thought. Oh, let's get our word bank here. Is what we'd have is and I chose dusk because these are distinct. So we'd have the same marking. However, sha shafai 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 sha pash pashwid. So what's happening here? What are we doing here? The auxiliary still has this marking. Okay? The auxiliary still has the reflexive marking. However, we have shifted so that the verb is always marking the agent. So what happens is, as long as you have nouns of two different classes, or of different numbers, it would also work for if there's okay. There's we're having some issues upstairs. Okay, give me a second here. Okay. So we had an issue there. Let me let me there somebody did something and didn't say sorry. Anyway, so this means that once we have this, when we have this reflexive, we're going to be looking here to see what the agent is. And then, since it's always agreeing with the agent, then we know that this is actually this is actually a passive construction, because this is not matching with this. This is not agreeing with this. And this is an antipassive. We can still reintroduce with a postposition, and we can fill that in. So actions with an auxiliary. The auxiliary maintains the reflexive in passive and antipassive. Maintains the reflexive marking, but the verb agrees with the agent. And then, like, a default agent might just be given inanimate by default or something like that. I think that feels like an elegant solution that that will like help us sort everything out, huh? Passive and antipassive. This in pure reflexives, both the auxiliary verb will be and the matrix verb. Yeah. That's passives and antipassives. Property words, probably not going to change much here. Nominal predication. Now, this is something that's going to be interesting because this is relying on the oblique. The oblique is going away. It's becoming an accusative in some cases, and in some cases it's just not going to be there. So, locational predication is going to stay the same, but this, I'm feeling that we may want to create a copula since we don't have one. Okay, so potential sources for copula. Let's go here. Go to copula. Copula. So we've got a change of state, a demonstrative, a word for exist, a third person pronoun, see, sit, stand. I think that we just want a regular copula. What do we think about different sources for copulas? It's interesting to think of a demonstrative happening here. Because if we... a thought could be... oh, why am I pulling that up? If we go to our demonstrative, our oblique this oblique is going away. This would mean that the copula would end up working very different from verbs, though. Because we'd have no agreement. So here's the thing. So the question is, okay, run through sound changes for a few of these. Ah. Oh, a problem, potential problem is it would become indistinguishable from the definite article, which I kind of don't like. So let's not do that. So we can think about let's look at what our auxiliaries are. I never had a B. We had stand up. Yeah, these are all active, which is not fit with the. Let me clean this up. Okay. I'm thinking like an exist or. And we're going to need a lot of work on these. I think for the I think exist I don't like. So I think I'm going to go with this change of state. Okay. And this is what I'm going to. And then yeah. So we still have the locative preposition, but we need an equative copula. And import the night. So we have day, dawn, dusk, and night. Need to that just fixes it. Okay. Okay. So I've got to go. Boom. Boom is nice. Boom. Boom. Okay. What they all turn into. Bull. It's just, well. But. Oh. Let's do this the right way. I think. This is it. Okay. So. So. Okay. And that means that, okay, if we have the nasal. Which one has the nasal? Yeah. I think Dawn. This has the nasal mutation. So if we have this, um, yes, okay. Does this have the nasal mutation too? Yes. Okay. No. Just gonna test some things. I oh, don't want that to happen. So yeah. So okay. So why? Okay. I'm so dumb. Because this isn't going to obey that. Because it's, okay, I made some changes that I didn't need to make. So let's go back here and go. Shoot. Okay. Shoot. Yeah. It should look like that. But wait, it was. But that one should. Right? No, it shouldn't. Okay. These actually end in a consonant. Okay. Just had to fix some things. No, they don't end in a consonant. What is the... Yeah. Why did that not happen? Wait. Right. And then it was... This is not marked as a vowel. That's why. No, it is marked as a vowel. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I don't know who's still watching. I was just troubleshooting some things about my sound changes that don't make any sense. Trying to figure out why. If I had no space there. Vowel raising. Okay. Now I've figured that out. Now I understand. So yes, these should be V. Okay. We'll do a chart of initial mutations eventually and figure out exactly how they get put together. But now I know that my lenition rule is was just not correct. Either I need to put that before gliding, or I think I will just go and put it here and have it apply that way. So, cleanup time for anyone watching. Uh, Time to it does have to happen before degemination. All right. Time to export, 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 export. Okay, so let me go ahead and get you guys the new notes. Next time, I think I'm going to go through probably go through comparative construction and the subordinate clauses, and then we will be ready to get started with the koineization process. Okay. And so need to nine, save that. And upload that for patrons. There we go. Okay. Well, thank you all for watching. It's been fun.